5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome everyone to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. So this is the podcast where my co-host and I listen to all the Cincinnati-based craft beer media, like small, to big media, and then
audio to visual,
yeah. And we get together at a podcast host, and today we are back at Higher Gravity Summit Park. Thank you for being a gracious podcast host. Now, hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other pieces of content that we consume. So far, so good. We are joined by a special guest. So I am Marco. I'm a taproom manager here locally, and I am about to introduce the best co-host in Podcast Landia.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Lee. Hey. So I work at a brewery up here.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I make some beer.
You make all
lot
the
of
beer. You make a whole lot of beer. A lot of
unfathomable amount of beer.
Like stupid amounts of beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think we'll make about 9 million barrels this year.
So just bigger than Sonder.
Just barely.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Are you guys planning on opening a second or third location anytime soon?
There's some talks in the work about maybe getting into distribution a little bit.
Expansion. Yeah, nice. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And I'm Julia, and I put sizes on boxes.
Okay.
So,
Sizes on boxes.
Listen to a completely non-beer podcast, non-Cincinnati podcast. Woo! Your Stupid Opinion.
That's such a great pod.
It is freaking hilarious. We've mentioned it like every week since it's come out.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, my God.
It is brilliant.
Oh, my
Absolutely
God.
brilliant.
I was just in tears almost the whole podcast. It was hilarious.
Jimmy broke a rib.
Yes.
He was laughing so hard.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Danielle has been listening to the podcast
Soccer Crush.
Yes,
what does she think? Does
she
like
loves it.
Oh,
she loves
good.
it.
I thought she would.
Yes.
I will have to let the gals as I die. I'll have to let them know. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And she got to meet him too. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so cool. I love
something
it.
that we are not 100% on, but we try to be, is that we let you know that the thoughts and opinions on this podcast are ours and ours alone. They do not reflect any entity which we may be involved with, such as our full-time jobs or Higher Gravity. If you want to get at us, we will tell you how at the end of the podcast. And not just get at us about anything that we say, also let us know about any Cincinnati beer events that you want us to talk about and shout out in our other podcasts. So we hope and know that you already went and followed, shared, smashed whatever button, and pressed and done whatever it is, violated whatever you're supposed to violate to let everyone know, and you take in the Cincy Beer Events content. That is Cincy Beer Events, hosted by Truth, Beer, and Podsequences.
Yes.
You will find out how to get in touch with us at the end of the show. That is where you shower us with gifts. And it is giving season coming up soon, so everyone get on that quickly.
And speaking of giving season, it is the final few weeks to pre-order your Higher Gravity Beer Event calendar. There aren't many left, so you could be the one to get the last one. I think producer Lee might try to snag the last one tonight, so he's doing it right now.
Get on it.
There might still be one left after Lee buys his, but there are not many left. You don't want to miss this. 25 days, 25 beers. It's absolutely amazing. Best time of the year. Go to highergravitycrafthouse.com and pre-order yours. And don't believe the bullshit the email tells you about your box being ready as soon as you order it. They'll be ready for pickup closer to Thanksgiving.
Mine was, though. I already got mine.
Oh, shit. Oh, God.
Shit.
Oh, my God.
There's only 2 beers in there, but
yeah, I was going to say, well, wait a second. I didn't get mine yet. Come on.
Everyone's
Jason,
going to want
Nick,
to. Everyone's going to want to get it and follow along. You're going to have massive FOMO if you don't, because there's going to be a lot of social media posts about it. Julia is getting her writing skills sharpened. Mm-hmm. I did send Julia a complete collection of all of the Fergie songs so that she might parody coming up in the season. So that is us.
My God.
Thank you, everyone who's been with us for a long time. Thank you if this is your first time. Truly appreciate your listenership. Look, the one thing you can't get back in this world is time. So I truly appreciate any time that you put towards listening to, supporting, and sharing what it is that we do, which is try to shout out from the mountaintops or from the radio waves or from the podcast sphere or from the YouTubes, all of the YouTubes, since there are several, right? Everything about what's great about the Cincinnati craft beer community from a content standpoint.
Yes.
So, having said that, no craft beer podcast would be a good craft beer podcast if we weren't having a beverage. And today we all happen to be having a craft beer. Let's go around the table. Guest first, Lee, welcome back to the pod.
Yeah,
We missed you.
Yeah,
So good to
be
have
back.
you
Sorry if you hear me yell randomly at my dog through this, but
She's a good girl.
she tries. Not that hard. She doesn't try that hard. I have a Raw House Pils.
Hell yeah, great beer. Marco's looking up some stuff, so I'll go next. I am having Broby by Sonder, their vanilla porter. It is just as good as I remembered from last year. And Marco, what you drinking?
I'm just drinking Hop Juju, which,
yeah.
I was looking at the Fatheads beers, and I'm like, I might go Headhunter. And I'm like, well, Hop Juju's still here. Hop Juju's not around forever, so I'm going to have a Hop Juju. Nothing's stopping me from having a Headhunter later.
That's
Heard
true.
that.
That's right.
True, yeah. All right. Let's go over, before I mention the podcast that we're going to do full recaps of, there were a couple of podcasts, local and national, that touched on something Cincinnati craft beer related. But it wasn't the entire episode, so we're not going to do full recaps, but I just wanted to shout them out. So first, shout out to What You Into with Dan Eben from Swine City Brewing.
But what you into?
It is such a great podcast. The main focus of this episode was on Stephen King. It was kind of closing out his Halloween-themed episodes. I love Stephen King, so it was a fantastic episode for me. The first 10-15 minutes, they did talk about Dan and Swine City and all the amazing chaos that comes to running a craft brewery, so definitely check that out. Also, shout out to the Beers and Beards podcast, episode 140.
I thought it was Beers and Beards.
I wrote down Bears and Beards, so maybe it's Bears.
Could be.
It could be. I mean, there's no telling with my
I've heard it all
handwriting.
3 ways, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Ooh,
3
goodness,
ways.
Yeah.
Man,
Ooh.
there we go. David drinks Streetside Brewing's Friendship Bracelet, which is a Taylor Swift-themed beer, so you get to hear all about how it contains actual sweat from the Eras Tour. The rest of the podcast was their kind of typical rantings and ramblings. Still a fun listen, but not enough Cincinnati-based content for a full recap. And last but not least, congrats to Adam Mills for being on the Beersmiths podcast, episode 290, talking about the thighs.
The thighs.
Thick
Let's
thighs
see
save
the
lives.
thighs.
AKA thiolized yeast.
Thiolized yeast.
It went way over my head. I'm not going to lie.
It's super deep.
It is, yes.
For anybody who's a home brewer, though, you may be interested in finding out about thiolized yeast. Lee, you getting any thiolized yeast?
No,
Okay. Very
right.
good.
I don't think so.
No.
All right. The full podcast that we're going to be talking about. Let's see who has listened to... Oh, good God. Starting already. Starting already. Let's see who has listened to what.
What?
We have multiple Brew
Not going to be
Skies.
good for me. I'll just warn
Hey,
you
you know
already.
what? All good. All good.
Warn you already.
You will find something to comment on.
I'm sure. I'll have an opinion one way or another.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Exactly. That's why we love you. We have an actual podcast episode of the Brew Skies Happy Hour. They have
Yay.
finally made it back to the
Back.
podcast sphere. We have an episode of Brew Skies Booze News, their YouTube show.
Yeah.
And I was really good about watching that.
Oh.
And then I've
And then-
not in the last
Okay.
2 weeks.
Oh, good. Oh, you need to
Catch up.
watch. You need to watch the not
The Gnome
this
was on
week,
one recently.
The previous
too.
two.
I saw it. I saw it pop up and didn't. I was like right after I had finished getting caught up.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, wow.
And then I
okay.
just
they'll be around forever, maybe.
I'll watch it tonight when I get home.
There we
There you
go. We have Craft Parenting Podcast where they talk
CPP.
about stalking Josh and I. We have Cincy Brewcast talking about the Oktoberfest Quest finalies.
Finally.
We have the Weekly Pint just talking about how famous Gnome is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Pretty famous when, well, we'll get to it. We'll
get to it. Normally, I would say where do we want to start, but because we do have 5 shows to go, this could take a while. We're just going to go in the order that I have them in my notes. Marco, they may mimic the order you have them in your notes.
Probably.
Because a lot of times we do tend to have the
Well,
same
let's switch notes.
Okay. All right.
All right, hold on.
Oh, Jesus. How many pages do you have of notes?
That's right. That's my notes
That's
right
like-
there.
Man.
That's my notes that I just slammed.
Almost
Yeah.
more notes than events that we have for Cincy beer events.
I know.
Oh, good God. Okay. We are going to start with the Brew Skies Happy Hour podcast.
Sounds good.
This is episode 17, Yellow Watery? Yeah, Yellow
Watery
and Flavorless Part
Flavorless.
5. It's Miller time.
I do need to listen to this one. Oh, man. Nice. I do need to listen to this one.
It's almost like being iced, you know? It's almost kind of like, hey, here we go.
Good.
It was so great to see. And actually, I didn't realize it when the episode popped up in my podcast feed. I'm like, oh, did they republish one? Because it's been forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
it's
I'm like,
been a while.
I'm like, no, this is actually a new episode.
a new
Very,
one.
very excited. Absolutely love what they do.
That's what
with
happened
this
to me, too.
podcast. Absolutely, right, exactly. You were so shocked you couldn't even listen
even
to it.
imagine.
You just didn't even know. This episode talked about the Miller versus Bud Wars, which was pretty freaking interesting. I did not realize that Philip Morris bought Miller at some point before everything
Philip Morris-
else happened. Like
The Philip Morris-
the Philip Morris.
Yes, that's who owned Miller when the brewery that I don't work at was built back in. It was built in the 80s.
Okay.
And then it actually opened in the 90s.
Gotcha. Okay.
It sat for
okay.
10 years
I
without
was just
ever
going to
making
say
beer.
that's a long time.
It was when Philip Morris owned it for a few years. Yeah.
So was it? And this is kind of going away from the podcast.
Sorry.
So was it like complete and able to brew beer, and it just sat stagnant for 10 years?
That was my understanding. Is that
Okay.
it was built. Everybody I've talked to at work that I don't work at
Right.
has taught. There's still several people there who have, when the brewery officially started making beer in '91. It had sat for like 8 to 9 years or something like that.
That's
and
crazy.
In Trenton, and they said it was wild because according to the opinions of those who worked at the brewery is you could just do whatever you wanted, like money wise, because from a Philip Morris perspective, the whole Miller brand was just one giant tax write off.
Wow.
So that's an opinion of
Wow.
like 3 people that don't.
That's a cool
that
opinion.
Don't
You know what I
know,
mean?
but,
Like,
but they said,
right.
"Oh yeah, you could buy whatever you wanted, all tools, all the extra parts you needed, because everything."
Dude,
yeah,
that's
'cause
crazy.
When it was Philip Morris days, but they've changed hands, changed umbrellas they've been under several
Since
times
then, yeah.
since the 32 years that it's been there.
Okay. That's cool. That's
Anyway,
fun.
yeah.
See, you have
Yeah,
stuff to
I've-
say. Absolutely. This is great. Apparently, Philip Morris bought Miller and pumped an absolute ton of money into it. And that's what caused it, mostly through advertising. That's what a lot of the episode was about, is kind of the advertising wars. That's what got it to jump to being number one.
Yeah,
It
that
wasn't
place
because
was
of the beer
made-
itself. It was because
Yeah.
of the advertising.
That brewery was designed to make MGD and Miller and High Life, and that was it.
That's amazing.
There's still like old school switches in the brew
man.
house that just have like 3 different options.
Funk. Yeah,
of
exactly.
what brand you could run, which is cool.
That's amazing. I would love
It's a little
to
different
see
now,
that.
but yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that. That kind of stuff absolutely
Yeah.
fascinates me. The ads changed a whole lot with the Miller brand. A lot, the beer brands were mostly advertising, we have the best ingredients, we use only quality this, quality that. But Miller decided to go for something, as they put it, a little bit sexier. That's where kind of like Miller time and stuff came in. It's not about the ingredients, it's about you enjoying this. It's about eliciting, as they were saying, that emotional response to the product, and not just trying to say, we have the best ingredients, because that's
It
what
was selling
everyone
a
else
feeling,
is saying. Exactly.
not the
yes.
product itself.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you listen to this episode.
Yeah. I will listen to this on the way. I'm very interested in it now. Yeah.
Apparently, Miller Lite is the best marketing innovation in beer.
Yeah,
And-
I mean,
at the time.
you ever had a
Sure.
Vortex bottle? I don't know.
I mean,
Yes, I have.
oh man.
I'm old enough to have.
Oh man, I don't
Vortex
remember if
But
I
they used to
ever
have little
actually-
punch tops on top of the can
had one.
that you could punch a little hole into it so it would give a smoother flow.
Yeah,
on
smooth
top.
flow.
Yeah.
I know that. I know
Yeah.
about that.
That's
and the whole like
fantastic.
wide mouth lids and all that.
Smooth
kind
flow, smooth flow, wide mouth lids. I know all about all
Yeah.
this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
Vortex.
God, that's.
Yeah. The Vortex bottles.
I remember seeing them. I don't remember if I ever actually drank out of one though. But
Well,
I couldn't say if I did or not.
Yeah, I
if I
don't
did, it was,
you ever watch?
maybe I
It was
wasn't
just a long
supposed to.
time, right.
Maybe
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah, yeah.
supposed to be.
You ever
Yeah.
accidentally fall into one of those videos of I think it's the tipsy bartender where he takes a bottle and he's flipping it upside down.
Oh, yeah.
And he,
Oh,
and he
yeah,
like
yeah.
spins it and then
And it creates the vortex.
It creates
Yeah.
the vortex. Well, just imagine if you didn't have to spin it because the bottle was ribbed for our pleasure.
Yeah, or it's like that. It's like the Australian guy, like Uncle Clink or something like that. That does he puts the bottle up and then gives it a spin.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it comes down as it just pours out
and it
quickly. Yeah.
Just like a water slide to your gullet.
Yeah.
Would that be like a?
Because that's the one thing I have a hard time with.
I don't say
drinking
like
out of bottles.
poor
It
man's
just
shotgun,
doesn't come out fast enough for me.
No.
Yeah.
And then when you try to change the angle to get more to come out, it just. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
good.
it's all about
It's not a good time.
the angle.
Yep.
It really is. It's all about how you use it.
Yep.
Anheuser-Busch introduced Natty Light as their first light beer in I think this is 77 because I can't read my handwriting.
So they were trying to. They were leading the light beer category. They were leading the beer, period.
Yeah.
And then with Miller Lite sort of nipping on their heels with this new product innovation, with quotes, because they're not the first place to make a light beer. They're just the first place to try and lean
successfully market it. Yeah.
Successfully market it. They didn't go straight into the Bud Light as we know it. Their first toe dip into it was the High Life. Or the
Natty Light, yeah.
Natty Light, not High Life.
And
Wrong company.
Yeah.
And they didn't specify it in the episode, but I'm pretty sure that they probably did that as a way to make sure if this fails, their name wasn't tied directly to it. It could be seen as a third party something and not one of their innovations that didn't work.
Right, not something branded as a Budweiser.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Spuds McKenzie. That's when all of
Yeah.
this kind of
Yeah.
started showing up. I remember Spuds McKenzie. And it kind of started a whole new advertising theme of pretty much sexualizing animals as weird and bizarre and
So
awkward as
weird.
that was, which
Weird.
I remember some of the commercials, and I don't remember them feeling. I mean, it definitely felt like they were kind of pandering to kids, like they were kind of trying to say to a much younger crowd, "Look at how cool this stuff is." But I don't
Drinking is
remember
cool.
it.
What are you talking about?
But I don't remember
It is.
ever feeling. And again, I haven't seen any of these commercials in I don't know how long, but I don't remember ever feeling like the whatever animal character from whatever brand was like sexualized. Like it just looked like it was being portrayed as a fun, look at this
It
dog
was
having all these
goofy.
adventures.
It was always.
Yeah.
It was goofy because it was the center character around fictitious things that also were around women in bikinis.
Yeah.
It just was weird.
That's true. That's true.
A dog on a surfboard that ends up on the beach
Surrounded
and then
with women.
surrounded
Yeah.
with women in bikinis is like, okay, women like dogs, but what does this have to do with beer? And are we sexualizing a dog? No,
Yeah.
it's what you're doing is you're trying to swap out the main character and make that person on TV feel like they want to be the main character, which is really strange. Like I never looked at it that way when I was, in my young drinking age.
I'm a little bit younger than I think both of you. So
Yeah.
the main and I don't know if it was talked about, like the main the first ad I remember for my beer commercial when I was like a child was like the Budweiser frogs.
Oh yeah.
Those are the first ones I remember.
Yeah.
Budweiser.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or the
Those
Oh
are
my
big.
God,
Those are
yes.
early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was well before my legal
I think
drink
"Was
age,
Up" was
so.
one of the Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah, I think,
was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
One of the biggest Super Bowl commercials of all
Oh,
time.
that was a huge commercial.
Oh, yeah.
my
Jesus
God.
And it's obviously stuck 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Caroline still
absolutely.
does it. Caroline, I mean, she probably do it at Beer, Booze, and Bonks when she sees it.
Voila.
Oh my God. Let's see it. This moved on to in the 80s. Coors. One. We have one. Man, I should have brought the clicker. That was.
There
damn
might be one in my
impressive.
bag if you didn't in the bag if
bag?
you didn't take it out.
I did not.
Okay, there's
I
one
don't
in the
touch
bag.
your clicker, man. You know this.
Yeah.
So in the 80s, Coors, AB, and Miller, their market share went from 64% to 81%.
It's the two
Like a ridiculous jump.
of all the brands from those companies collectively. It was one out of almost every 9 beers purchased from 2 companies.
Yeah. And then what's funny about that is this is that same time frame where Great American Beer Fest started up. So the Beer Fest started during the time when we had the worst beer in America.
Yeah,
being the most popular or the most advertised and hyped up.
When you go back to Brew Skies, there's an episode with Charlie Papazian and how all that got started, basically from what essentially was adult social clubs and just the want and the interest to brew beer and brew better beer and brew beer at home, and then so on and so forth.
Yep, and then they touched a bit on how kind of air quotes big beer prevented some of the growth of craft beer, which.
Do we need the quotes for big beer? I mean, they're the biggest of beers.
I guess not. I guess not. Yeah. And then they kind of teased and gave a little clip from an upcoming interview with Jim Cook. And oh my God, I don't want to spoil any of this little snippet from the end of the episode.
Oh, wow.
But some of the shit that Jim Cook, realized that big beer was willing to do to kind of stop some of the growth of craft beer. Yeah. You're like, oh my God, this is
you thought that
crazy.
Okay,
crazy
so
shit. Kids playing in sandboxes,
and then just imagine powerful, wealthy kids in essentially the world as their sandbox, and how they will go to lengths to stop you from playing with their toys.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an excellent way to put it. Those are all the notes that I had for this episode. I know it's a little rushed, but we have a lot to cover tonight. I do have a multiple choice question, however, for this episode. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
What did Miller try to trademark? Was it A, time, B, light, or C, water?
Julia is a D, because Marco brings the D.
Oh, God.
Man.
He certainly did.
So is it option D? Is it Taco Tuesday?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it could be any of those.
I can't wait to find out.
Listen to the episode and find out exactly. All right, let's move on to the next in the Brew Skies adventure that we have tonight. Brew Skies Booze News. All right, we have, Lee has a fresh beer. I'm still good on mine. Mark's still good on his. But
sorry for partying.
We've made it. No, never be sorry for partying. We have made it back.
Back.
And Lee, what you got?
Oh, I got another Rot House Pils.
It's a great beer.
It's going down real nice.
Fantastic. All right, let's talk about Brew Skies Booze News, their YouTube show. This is from November the 6th. Alcohol sales are in an unseasonable slump. In this episode, Brett is
back.
That was one of the best backs I think we've ever had on this show.
Yeah.
I love it.
We could just get a clip of the old Chili's.
Baby back. This was a shorter episode. It was only about 21-ish minutes.
Right.
So, I mean, that's okay. That's fine. The question of the day, as always, they're starting it early, so you have time with the whole episode to think about it. Your favorite local dive bar. What is it?
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one. There is more Diddy Diageo dynamic degenerate details.
Bringing all the D's.
Too long didn't read. Everyone's still suing everyone.
It's a long D.
That's the update. It's
lawyers are just getting paid, baby.
Oh yeah. Lawyers are like, we'll keep cross-litigating and go back and
lawyers
it's all
hold on.
It's all billable, baby.
Exactly. So basically,
some more
the
litigation. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so Mike brought up some of his law knowledge.
From his law knowledge. Yes.
You can hear about some of the ridiculous cases that he had to deal with when he was a practicing lawyer. I'm assuming he sells his license. I don't know.
I don't know if
maybe not. I don't know.
Once you pass the bar, is that just it?
Is that just it? Right. I don't know. I have
lawyer friends. I should ask them that.
You should. Find out for us. As you produce the episode, and I give you 3 minutes. See what you can find out. All right. The weirdest...
Think you could pass the bar? Took if you did a little college there, sir?
Could I?
Pass the bar?
You did a little college. Surely you could pass the bar.
Certified to handle nuclear
equipment. I passed my for the first round of engineering licensing stuff, but I didn't go
If Kim
farther.
Kardashian can pass the bar,
but you could have nuclear.
I did have friends who went into patent law after being engineers.
Okay.
So yeah,
That makes sense.
there is
That
a
makes
path.
sense.
Then I had other ones that went into med school, and there's all sorts of stuff you can do. Apparently with nuclear engineering,
All right, cool.
I make beer with it. So you know,
Hell yeah.
I've also made center
Splitting.
twigs.
Hey,
so.
you know
That's
what?
true. That's
you
true.
split the atoms to make bubbles in beer.
That's right. There you
And
go.
hopefully
true.
there are like
Yeah.
2 people that listen to this that know what I'm referencing in that. Mike actually explained the TV show Bewitched and how it parallels with Fat Tire Beer, which was an
Also,
amazing connection
Yeah,
that made
it's-
perfect sense once he got all of the words out of his head.
Yeah, it's anybody who thought it was a long, winding road. It wasn't very long
No.
or winding. It was pretty straightforward. He didn't go into the difference about how that show started in black and white and then ended up in color, and then the TV evolution, which probably didn't have anything to do with his actual topic, or the fact that Darren switched. We got some different Darrens.
Different Darrens, yes.
But didn't know we were going to get a Bewitched reference.
no.
in this.
Brew Skies always surprises you.
Yeah. Stay tuned for next week when you have a Mr. Ed reference.
Ooh, there we
With
go.
a horse with a carrot shoved somewhere to make
Wilbur.
it. Yeah.
All right.
And My Three Sons the
To,
following week. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
So Bud Light.
I've heard of them.
We know that they are all inclusive.
Yeah.
I could barely say it
Really?
with a straight
Yeah.
face.
Okay.
Good on them.
Correct.
So
Oh, wow.
they are so all inclusive.
Change of heart all of a sudden?
That they are now
Everybody hates them.
they are now one of the official UFC sponsors. So this very inclusive company now is one of the sponsors for basically the airing of sweaty, mostly naked men crawling all over each other.
I could just imagine all of the Cro-Magnon men
Yeah.
with firearms and hanging in their trucks, and then their just mullets not agreeing that this was a great move for the
Yeah.
UFC.
Right. I agree with that as
It's all
well.
about them dollar bills, though.
We'll see
Yeah.
if they make any, though. I mean, it's still
UFC
to be
made some,
determined.
I'm sure.
Well,
Be a
true.
sponsor.
They do.
But is that going to help the Bud Light brand kind of come back
I
in
don't
any
know.
way, shape,
I
or
don't
form?
think it is.
I doubt it
Well.
now. But hey, you never know.
You never know. Dana White beats his wife. And in public,
Giant piece of shit.
in public, and I mean, I'm sure he has people to make these deals for him. But if he
He
made
is
a deal with
middle-aged,
Bud Light,
silver-haired white men.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, more than likely, he has people to make these deals for him. But he knew this deal was going to happen, and then I'm sure somebody somehow along the way signed the approval on this. And so, well, you make your bed, lie in it, both of you.
Sure. I wonder
Yeah.
what his buddy Joe thinks about it. I don't know.
Joe, fucking Joe.
I'm sure we'll unfortunately find out.
I'm
sure
sure
that
we will.
we will find out. Counterfeit wine.
Yeah.
One of the biggest, like the most amazing counterfeit winemaker has managed to turn a felony into a legit business.
Yeah, so let's
good
just
for him,
let's just
you know?
imagine that somebody was the best at copying Michelangelo. Like there were ceilings all over the place that just needed to be painted,
Yes.
and then people were just going to hire that person to recreate Michelangelo's paintings in their homes.
And people, couldn't tell that they weren't actually Michelangelo.
I've seen the show
So-
White Collar. I know what it's
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Good show.
This is what is being done in the high-end wine world.
And it's based
Yeah.
on, but it's in the very high. Is it because they're just the bottles look so similar?
No, it's not even.
Or is
It's
it
not
the
even
actual
bottle. It's
wine?
actual
It's the wine is actually
It's
that
the wine.
good.
It
Yeah.
is.
Then who
it
gives a
is-
shit?
This
If
guy-
the wine's that good, who gives a shit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who gives
You
a
know?
shit?
Who gives a shit? Then,
Because
Well, it-
they're
it's-
not
well,
taking
so
the real
because
thing.
it-
They're
Right.
I mean,
They're recreating
Now
it.
there's a little more to the story, and
Sure,
again, I want
yeah.
people to.
This is- I've not listened to the episode.
It's a 20-minute YouTube
Yeah.
video that you can just listen to. There's no, I'm not going to go into it because it is 2. We've got 2.
the deuce.
There we go. Let's see. There was a peeing in the grain update. If you
Yeah,
remember
so
that
there was a story
week
from
ago.
the pod before.
Yeah. Or
about
YouTube video.
Tsingtao.
before, Yeah. Tsingtao Brewing. Yeah.
Tsingtao Brewing.
Oh no.
Somebody there was a video of somebody urinating in.
Great.
They said urinating in the beer, No, what it was somebody was urinating in the spent grain.
Oh, spent grain.
Yeah.
Which wasn't the initial report. It was just urinating in the grain for the beer, and then it turned out
Right.
it's the spent grain.
That
So it's
spent
not
grain's
even
probably going to cattle or whatever.
exactly
Right.
Exactly. Yep. So there you go. There's
Still,
your update.
he's
I got a story I'll tell you about spent grain after the off air.
All right.
Yes. Okay.
Not about urine at
Oh,
all.
okay.
No,
Okay.
just
Oh,
about
that's too bad.
the size of a spill that we had.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
It
my
was all cleaned
God.
up and it was all good, but it was
I
a
bet.
fun weekend for me. It was when I had weekend duty. So
Oh, Jesus.
fun weekend.
All right. I have one more note, and then if we want to answer the question of the day, and then I have the sip count
And
a
then
multiple choice
a multiple
question.
choice, yeah.
Yes. So the last note that I have is keep an eye out for dive bar content in the far, far, far future. Hopefully sooner rather than later, though.
That's really
But
interesting because
they
I
did throw
know-
out to keep an eye out on any of their channels for some dive bar content, which I think could be absolutely amazing.
It could be
So,
amazing.
Yeah.
I know that Gnarly Gnome is doing dive bar content
Yep.
currently. I know that there is a podcast in creation form
Yep.
that is
Had a conversation about that the other night.
Cincy dive
Yeah.
bars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then I know that the Brew Skies, Brew Skies crew is
Are
planning
talking
on
about doing
Oops,
something
Oops,
dive
all
bar
dive
as well.
bars.
Oops All Dive
Oops,
Bars.
all die. I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Lee, you can start that podcast.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So the sip count. Keep in mind, this is a 21-minute episode. 21 and change.
21 and
Not
change.
very long. They had a grand total of 33 sips,
Oh, all right.
which is
That's like trading sips.
yeah.
I think I've had that many sips since I've just started this episode. So
Probably, yeah. And we're 42 minutes in if you
there
don't
you go.
count the
That's not too
break.
bad.
So if you translate that into 2 ounces per sip or per drink, that's 66 ounces of whatever beverage you're enjoying. That is 4.125 pints.
Oh,
in
in 21
minutes.
minutes? Nice. That's good.
You are having a lot of fun. And the multiple choice question for this episode,
Julia's multiple choice question.
why was this a shorter episode? A, they never told you. B, jet lag from Brett coming back from Asia. Or C, they were already drunk.
Julia, option D. You get option D. I bring the D. Everybody know that?
Yeah, I do know that.
All right, is option
You and
D.
Mike. Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that adjustment.
Whew.
Option D. Or did Mike have court?
Excellent question. Very fair question. Or possible answer, not even really a question.
Is option D
There we
as
go.
an answer.
Option D, yes. All right, we have the Craft Parenting Pod, episode 124.
CPP, yeah, you know me.
Halloween Roundup, family photos, Fabled Brew Works, and more. This is going to be a bit of a shorter.
More.
Ooh, that was new. I like that.
Yeah.
This is going to be a bit of a shorter recap because there wasn't a ton of beer talk in this episode, but Josh and I were actually kind of involved in part of this, and they did talk about going to Fabled Brew Works and having some fantastic beer, so here we go. I was actually able to make some of their YouTube live stream finally for this, so I was able to chime in.
Are they doing live streams on all their?
Just YouTube right now,
Or
yeah.
Sorry, not live stream. Oh, it was live.
It was live,
Ooh,
yeah.
nice.
So they're trying to. I think there's been 1 or 2 episodes since they started doing the YouTube live.
Okay.
That they didn't go live on YouTube and it was just a regular
Gotcha.
recorded podcast. But they said that they have found that by going live, it allows for them to just say, "Hey, we need to start and end." You know, the kids are asleep
Yeah.
or something else is
A
going
hard
on.
stop.
It keeps them,
Yeah.
much more contained. And almost every time they go live, because it's kind of based around when the kids are napping, so it's not always a set time. And
Yeah.
normally when I get the notification, "Hey, we're live,"
You mean
it's like,
kids don't
I'm
just
in the
nap
middle.
all the time at the
I know,
exact same
right?
time? Yeah.
Give them some
Weird.
Benadryl or something. That's
Yeah.
what my mom would have done.
Yeah,
She wouldn't have,
exactly.
"Mom, I love you." Just kidding. But so this time I actually saw it, and of course it was like 30 minutes before Josh and I were going to leave to go to a family dinner. But I'm like, I'm finally here. They're online. They're live. Let me jump in. So I got a chance to kind of interact
There
a
you
little bit
go.
live. I was one of the members of the Peanut Gallery there. You could tell from the start of the episode that there was some tension surrounding their trip to Fabled Brew Works.
Okay.
They started the episode talking about that, like because they had some crowlers that they brought back from Fabled. And then they said, yeah, so when we went there, it didn't exactly go according to plan. There was a little bit of Caroline was expecting one thing, and Joe kind of went and did another thing. Yeah, it was a little bit of a family drama there.
Ew,
they talked about the family Halloween stuff, the kids going out or not going out because they were a little...
This is my first time actually living in a place where I was able to pass out candy.
How was that?
A blast.
Oh, that's awesome.
I brought a speaker out. I had my little solo stove in the front yard.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you get a lot of kids?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Decorate
the house?
More than I expected. We bought some last minute pumpkins and mums.
No 12-foot skeleton?
No, there is one in our neighborhood. There's a house that has on my street that has multiple
those
10-foot
so
and multiple
cool.
6-foot, and it is decked out, and they have motion sensors.
Oh, that's so
on,
cool.
And they'll talk to you and stuff. It's pretty wild. But they do it for some sort of fundraising thing that they do because they have
that's cool.
They have one of those thermostat deals of how much money they've raised.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they're raising money for
something.
I don't know what they're
That's cool.
But it's cool because the thermostat was
buy more skeletons for the next year.
I think so. Yeah. They're trying to get the 24-foot skeleton. I think for next year.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
so awesome.
Yeah, so my neighborhood was decked out for it, and it was a good time.
Did it snow for you guys?
I fully embraced suburbia, I guess.
That's awesome. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did it snow up in?
There were some flurries for sure.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was
later on the night.
ridiculous.
People were hanging out a lot. They were
by
lingering by the fire a little bit longer.
Do you mind if I just?
Yeah, I was fine. Yeah, absolutely. It was a blast. Sorry, I derailed.
No, all good. That is what this show is all about. So then after the Halloween talk, they talked about getting family pictures taken. And I guess they were having them done down in northern Kentucky because after the family pictures, they decided we need a beer after, trying to wrangle the kids and all kinds of stuff. And so they said, well, Fabled Brewworks is right around the corner. Well, they walked in and Josh and I happened to go. We just randomly decided, oh, hey, let's just go down to Fabled. They have a couple new beers that I really wanted to try. And then we initially were going to go down for the FC game. Mm-hmm. And we had messaged them hey, are you guys going to have the game on with sound by chance? Because if they're not, then, we're definitely not missing a playoff game.
Right.
And they didn't respond back for a while. It's let's just head down and just do that and then, just figure something out. And so the timing of them coming in at the exact time that Josh and I were still there was beyond ridiculous. You couldn't have asked for... all kinds of things are happening. You couldn't have asked for a more perfectly timed scenario if you tried. Caroline had to take one of the kids to the bathroom, and in the meantime, Joe,
number 1 or number 2?
I didn't ask. Joe drank one of the entire beers in Caroline's flight.
Good.
The one beer she was the most excited about.
Oh, he done fucked up.
He drank. She came back and she's like, well, where'd the beer go? And he went, I thought you didn't want it. And she kind of freaked out.
He didn't fuck up. He didn't do that. You drank it before you left. What are you talking about?
Right. No, because she took the taster she had with her, which might have been her first mistake. Maybe she should have taken the one she really, really wanted. Let's see. In the live chat, I let them know that drinking someone else's beer without talking to them first is grounds for divorce in any relationship.
I just want to say,
Joe should be careful.
I probably missed this part, but once the alert came out, I was about 10 minutes before I got in the car. Mm-hmm. I got in the car, I turned it on. It never popped up through half my drive home, so I just got out of it.
The live?
Yeah, the live didn't pop up, so I just got out of it.
I wonder if you were the other person that was listed as watching then.
Could be,
yeah.
But I was driving, so I just
Well, then you shouldn't have been watching.
No, it was. I wanted to hear it through the car, I clicked on it, and then there was no video, and nothing was happening. Mm-hmm. It was just silence. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I have too many podcasts I need to take in his content.
Yeah.
And then so I did half the drive home. And so
silence?
For 15 minutes.
Oh, that's awful.
I know, it's awful because I had to listen to myself.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's awful.
It's bad. It's like Friday mornings when this pod comes out. I listen to myself. But then I just got out of it and went on to something else.
Yeah. Does daylight savings time matter if you have kids or pets?
Not mine. Not my pet.
Yeah.
I bet it doesn't give a shit. She sleeps till noon every day anyway. It doesn't matter. Yeah, sorry.
All good.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, my dog doesn't care. She sleeps in so much. She sleeps 16 hours a day. So.
And she is perfect.
Well, I don't know about that.
She's perfect to me because I don't have to take care of her day in and day out.
And she hasn't knocked you out of your chair yet today.
This is true. Yet.
She's
The
taller
night is
than
still
us.
young. She's much taller than
Not
us.
yet.
Yes. That was all of the notes that I had. Did you have anything else on Craft Parenting Pod episode 124 before I get to the multiple choice question?
No, let's go.
All right, let's go. What do West Siders have to do to get to Fabled Brew Works? Do they have to take the ferry? Do they have to plan like they're hitting the Oregon Trail? Or do they have to go over the river and through the woods?
Julia, they have to do D. You know, I bring the D, as I have all day today. I'm just bringing that D.
Jesus.
Julia, D. What they have to do is they have to roll their window down because their driver's side rear view window is it's crushed off. Because all of you West Siders park in the streets, you have to roll your window down, stick your head out, and look behind you to make sure that you can actually get on the street and then continue on your way.
Okay, so there might be multiple correct answers for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, this could be I should have had an E, all of the above, but I didn't.
Okay.
All right, check out this episode. A lot of fun. Do we need to take a break before we move on to All Things Gnome? All right, let's move into Cincy Brewcast, Season 9, Episode 17. This was the recording of the 2023 Oktoberfest Quest Finals live.
Oh, the finally
At
of
Matry.
Oktoberfest Quest at Matry.
I will preface this with saying it did seem like there were some little audio things, maybe about 30-ish minutes in, like some of the timing was a little off, or just I don't remember us talking over each other as much as we did when Danny grabbed
Oh, we
the mic.
definitely did.
Yeah, that's the
But
live.
I don't know.
It's a live event thing. Like
Okay.
you don't hear things the same.
The same, okay.
100% we talked over each other.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Well, I knew
absolutely.
we did some, but I don't know, it just felt more discombobulated than I remember. But I also had, been drinking, so
It's
it was
also
probably
like,
more me than
I did not drink nearly as much as I.
what makes
really
it
wanted
hard.
to.
Like you really have to crank your headphones when you're doing a live event and like really like shut out everything else,
Hyper-focus.
because you start to hear the speaker and then that changes the conversation, because in the speaker you can talk over each other and it makes sense. It feels conversational. It feels like a normal kind of way to talk.
Gotcha.
Whereas once you have the headphones on and it's really in your head, it's different.
Gotcha. That makes
weird.
sense.
Live
will-
events are tough.
Got it. With that being said, though, this was such a fun night.
Oh, so
Cannot
good.
say how much we appreciate being invited to help guest judge and not know how to judge who won this year's Oktoberfest Quest.
And we're never supposed to know. Like, you're never supposed to understand how it's supposed to work. Like, that's half the fun, right?
I love it. I absolutely love it. In this episode, the things we talked about live were a history of the Oktoberfest Quest finale, or not even the finales, but the different years, the different Oktoberfest quests that you have done and how they've evolved over time. Mark, you've been
do you
involved
know-
in multiple.
I think the first time I was involved was 2020. I think it was the 2020 year, and we recorded in the studio. And then
During
it was,
COVID, yeah.
And then it was 2021 was it Craft Beer Joe? No.
I think it's, I mean, maybe. I know that there was,
And then last year,
I think those are reversed.
and then
Yeah,
last year,
yeah.
and then last year we were at Fretboard, and then
Fretboard.
this year at Matry.
I think that Craft Beer Joe was 2020.
Yeah, and you were 2021.
You were 2021.
Okay.
I think.
I think
I could look at my notes, but
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we'll go with it.
I remember being worried showing up to the house. Not that I wouldn't be let in, but I was.
Well.
I was worried that I didn't walk in with a mask on. That was my concern.
Yeah, but that would have been both years, because 2021, it was like right at that time where it kind of started popping up again.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we thought we were good and then we weren't good.
That's true.
Anyways.
It was all weird stuff. Last year's winner was Mad Tree, which is why we recorded live at Mad Tree.
Which is why Gnome works so hard to get
Yes.
them to embrace the fact that he wanted to
Yeah, to-
record a
to be
Matry.
there.
He could record wherever the
Absolutely.
fuck he wanted. He wanted to record a Matry.
I did.
So,
Yeah.
Wanted to.
And we did,
and we did.
but I feel like it wasn't in the same way that it should have been.
Well,
It wasn't
it was
embraced
fine.
as
No,
much.
it was fine.
It was
fine.
fine. It was fine. But my own personal opinion is I don't feel that Mantry embraced it the same way that Fretboard did, even though Fretboard, they weren't part of that, like, winner circle, I guess.
Marco's right. It was 2020.
Okay. Let's see. What did we talk about? We talked about what we want in an Oktoberfest beer, which is always such an incredibly fun but incredibly complex conversation.
It is.
Because it really does depend on what's the weather like during that time
We
in Oktoberfest
we go into all
season.
of that in the podcast.
We absolutely-
every bit of it. But the thing is, I think it's just like just any beer in coming out of the Fest Quest and really out of Fest beer season and really into the other fall experiences and going into winter. It's really just like anything else, right? I feel there's a perfect time and place for every beer.
Yeah.
During Oktoberfest season, there's probably a perfect time and place for all of them. But if I want one where I'm at home, I want to have one Oktoberfest, maybe it's one thing. If I want to have a session of Oktoberfest, it's another. If it's slightly cooler outside, crisper, if it's slightly warmer, if I'm doing, whatever the activity is, I during Oktoberfest season can match one with that. And that's the cool part about it, is that I'm not limited to just whatever, mass marketed, national or international Oktoberfest is. There's so much locally, and back in 2020 when the Gnome and I did the Oktoberfest Quest and incorporated those from Germany, there's not a reason that you need to pick up most of these German Oktoberfest, because what we're doing here in the city is fantastic.
Yeah.
I do think that it was easier this year. I feel like there was not as much of a stark Märzen versus Fest beer difference between the beers. I mean, there was definitely some color differences,
sure.
and there was definitely some, but I don't think it was as crazy as it's been other years. I think they were all kind of in that same wheelhouse, pretty much.
Yeah. Don't want to call them all blends by any means, but yeah, I do think that.
So, Craft Beer Joe was on in 2019, so I don't actually know what happened in 2021.
I think you're right. I think Marco was 2021.
No, he was 2020.
Oh, he
I
was
looked it up,
20.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said he was 2021. I misheard. Okay, so the lost year, the lost quest.
Figuring it out.
Maybe it was Brett.
It might have been Brett. Yeah.
Maybe
he's
maybe it
Christmas.
was Reynolds.
Was it just me?
Could have been just you.
I have no recollection of it.
Did Cincy by the Pint join you?
I'll keep looking. You guys keep
Okay,
talking.
while you're looking at that,
I don't know if you need to put that
no
much
one-
time into it.
No, probably not. Well,
I'm curious
now
now.
it's one of those. Right now, it's kind of that ear, not really an earworm, but it's one of those. Okay, wait a second. I've got to figure this out.
That was the other year that Sonder won, was 2021.
Okay. So speaking of Sonder, we were talking about Toby.
Gave it away.
Toby.
Talking about Toby and
Did you have Craft Beer Joe on again? Like, was it twice? I'm trying to, because I started listening in like 2020 to your podcast. So
Oh, you've been listening a long time.
yeah,
ever since I moved up here.
That's great.
yeah, longer
That's
than
great.
me. I mean, that's fantastic.
That's what helped me figure out where to go.
I'm an OG listener.
Is that
Yeah.
so? Is that how you ended up at Fibonacci as one of your first breweries?
Probably, yeah, and that's when I got.
Because you didn't realize that Ohio had high ABV beer.
Yeah, because I came from Tennessee when the highest ABV you could get. When I moved up here in Tennessee, you could only get like 6% beer at breweries, and then we went to Fibonacci and
Got a bunch of Toll House and all that,
Right
yeah.
after Brink, and then
Oh,
it was
you had a good day.
It was a rough.
Ooh, that was a rough night.
A little rough. I think Lula drove home that night, so it was all good.
Oh
yeah.
man, that's great. So speaking of Sonder,
Yeah, Sonder.
we talked about Toby
Yeah.
and new bartenders not knowing what that is, and kind of a whole mini conversation about
Yeah.
if you have something, even that's kind of that started as a brewery insider joke, but then you put it out into the world via a podcast, a social media post, something like that. Make sure, especially if it's like a seasonal, if it's something year-round, people will pick up on it. But if it's something that only hits once a year, let your bartenders know. Kind
So-
of have that be part of, hey,
So-
here's the Sonder story, as you know, you've been welcomed into the family to
Not
whatever
exactly,
your role is.
not exactly the same thing, but sort of similar. A brewery that Gnome did a Cincy Brewcast with not that long ago, or just the week before, which was Common Beer Company. So they leaned into something from social media, which was a comment. It was kind of a theme of ours that we've been talking about in social media comments and everything. There was a comment about somebody's personality being like a soap dish.
Yes.
So instead of a beer being named what it was, they changed the name to Soap Dish. What is it? It's 59.
Oh, shoot.
So it's a braggot or a honey ale, but the beer was named after a team member, and after the review came in and said that team member's personality was like a soap dish, they changed it to Soap Dish.
Soap dish, right?
You know, but anyway.
Yeah.
But
if you have something like that, again, if you're going,
they don't. Sonder doesn't need to change the name of their Oktoberfest to Toby. But the thing is, it should be one of those colloquialisms that grows over time, where when you go to Sonder, you get a Toby.
right?
Yeah.
Or at least make sure that your employees that are customer facing know that there's a chance you might hear someone ask for this. This is what it is if that comes up, and give it to them in a liter stein and not in a.
It just kind of like it makes me feel weird that like you work for a place that has a podcast or had a podcast or will have a podcast, however that actually works with them. And if you're working there, especially if it like, oh, we're getting ready to, it's Oktoberfest season, this beer's coming out, I want to know everything I can possibly know about that beer. And here, the people that made it put out a podcast talking about it. Why aren't you listening
to that one
it?
episode?
Like, why is that not like a normal thing? And that just
Right.
blows my mind that like somebody would be working somewhere and not just like diving into every nuance of these things that you're serving people. It's just it's very strange to me. It's not. I don't think it's doesn't really surprise me. I think that a lot of companies have a lot of people that just don't give two shits about what they're doing. But it seems early to be having that from people at a place like Sonder.
Right, especially when their name is all about everyone has a unique
The
story.
stories.
The beer has a unique story, so that should be a little more embraced by the front of house.
But it's been almost a year since they put out a story.
But there are still enough people that listen
history,
and regulars and all that to
There's still enough
a
history
thing,
and benchmarks. And there we are talking over
But
each
it
other.
takes so little at a pre-shift meeting to say, if someone says Toby, they mean Oktoberfest.
Exactly.
Like it's a
as
one
simple
line
as
thing.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's
yes.
also not that hard when onboarding an employee to say, hey, we've got about 100 episodes, or actually we have 99 episodes of podcasts out there that talk about so many of the benchmarks in this company, as well as some of the beers that come out year after year, time after time.
I would say like it's a little much to like sit down in a employee meeting and be like, look, welcome on board, George. We appreciate you being here. Go listen to 100 hours of a podcast and catch up. That's a little much, but
sure.
But it's like, everybody, it's Oktoberfest week. Oktoberfest is tapping on Thursday. This is one of our biggest beers that we do, one of our favorite beers that we do. For anybody who's maybe wasn't here previous years, or maybe some of you who were, go listen to the podcast, refresh yourself on what this beer is and what it means to us. Go do that. Also, here's an email with a bunch of stuff about the beer. So you just catch up on what this beer is. Like, it seems very, very simple to me, but I also run my company different, so it's easier.
Yeah. What company is that?
Gnome Creative. I keep all of the employees in line.
All right, getting back into this episode, no one knew how to eliminate beers. Which, as you said in the very beginning, that's part of the fun. Is every year it's how the hell are we going to pick a winner? Every year it's different.
Everything is so calculated, except for picking the winner, and I think that's cool. I think that's so much fun because it lends to the fun of the evening, you know. And I'm not going to use the word that Gnome uses every time he's behind a microphone, but it leads to the fun of the evening, and I thought it was a blast, and it was a collaborative effort, which was also fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
It was great. Like half of my brain was freaking out. Like what do you mean there's no process for this? But the other half was just like, this is amazing. This is so much fun. And I love that every single year it's a little bit different in how that winner is crowned. Absolutely phenomenal. Josh did save the day by saying use math. And we're all like,
oh, what are you talking about? Math.
Math is the answer to everything.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And because we've already spoiled it, congratulations to Sonder on taking home
Sonder.
the Golden Gnome. And we look forward to
I look
being
forward
there
to
next
going,
year.
I look forward to going there and seeing it displayed.
It better be displayed
Oh, yeah.
in the front of house every Oktoberfest
yes.
season.
There's the hallway leading to the bathrooms, which has many of their accolades,
Yeah.
and
That better
I'm sure that's where it's going to be.
Yeah. If not, they got some reviews.
The old
Oh, yeah.
They got some cards I could fill out.
There'll be some
Yeah.
Yelp reviews about this. You have all these awards, especially this really cool-looking gnome statue.
Which
and it's by the bathroom?
Well, it reminds me of that famous quote from Top Gun original, which is the plaque for the alternates will be in the ladies' room.
Yep. Sounds about right. 2 more notes and then multiple choice question time.
Was that misogynistic? Sorry. That was a quote from them. I'm only quoting the old movie. It's not my quote. I didn't make it up.
Then why say it if you don't believe it?
Okay, Julie's mad at me.
Go walk out. Go take a walk in the park, man.
Yeah.
Luckily, she's a woman and doesn't have an opinion.
Oh, damn. If you weren't sharing
It was
a mic,
also a joke. It was a joke. It was not a quote, though. It actually came from my head.
Oh, you got stopped. Julia's like, I have the...
I see Julia's
slider.
feet swinging real hard in Marco's direction right now.
Swinging an egg.
Yeah.
I'm sure they don't touch the ground.
Yeah, she would normally have foot pedals, but her feet don't touch the ground.
It's true, they don't. There was okay, so...
Wait, y'all's don't?
God
No.
damn it, Lee. I know. No one's feet touch the ground except for Lee.
None of us are 7 feet tall except for
sorry.
you.
Sorry.
Jeez. Danny is
Bald
always
guy.
going to be
I
the
get
guy
that. Yeah,
for
fair enough.
Sonder.
No, it's sad. It's sad. It's low-hanging fruit.
I get it. It's genetics. It's fine. Yeah.
There was a teaser for episode 100 of Sonder Stories.
Yeah, they're teasing a
It'll come
family
out-
tradition
Yes.
episode.
Which will come out not this family tradition season, but next family tradition season. Because
Or maybe the one after.
Because they'll forget about it, and then we'll remind them about
Or
it.
be too busy.
Yeah, or they'll be too
Oh,
busy.
we were so busy.
Not talking about Toby.
Nobody on the podcast except one person makes the beer. But everybody else is busy doing everything,
You know
else.
what?
No, what?
Leave Adam to make all the beer and get the rest of them into
Yeah,
the podcast
Adam
studio.
Adam makes beer.
And still has time for podcasts.
Dude, not just
you're
podcasts,
not wrong.
but like video content and interviews and
Not just his
holy
podcast.
shit.
He was on fucking Beersmith.
Beersmiths and taking care of like 37 kids and like good freaking lord that guy.
Yeah.
Congrats to him. Did any of you guys have any other notes about this episode before we get to our multiple choice question?
No, we were there.
We were there.
Go
Yeah,
and listen.
we were there. No. Okay. What is the problem? This actually is a perfect question for a conversation we just had.
Oh, okay.
What is the problem with German hats? Is it A,
Not fucking big enough.
not fucking big enough? B, you can't wear headphones with them? Or C, after wearing them for a year, they start to smell?
Or they D. They don't have enough of those like nice little pinholes for to breathe, so that the head sweat doesn't get out of there.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Head sweat,
yeah.
Julia?
Head sweat. It's
Hashtag head sweat.
Let us know your head sweat. No, don't let us know your head sweat story.
No,
No,
send it to
no.
at Cincy Josh on Twitter.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds absolutely perfect. Does anyone need to get another beer before we talk about the weekly pint, or do we want to roll through this?
No, I do.
You do? All right.
Yeah. I think Lee does.
I typically always do.
You always do? All right, we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. All right, we have made it
Back.
That works for the final recap.
Back.
Better late than never.
Back.
Oh, There we go.
All right.
Fantastic.
Then all of us are back.
All of us are back. And it's fantastic to be back with everyone here.
Yeah.
I love this. Final show of the night, The Weekly Pint, episode 192. I'm really famous, so we should drink.
Yeah, so really famous gnome.
I thought he was talking about his guest, because he had a guest on the show.
He
and I
did.
thought that the famous person was
the guest.
said guest. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they were both.
Well, only one was quoted in, what is it, USA
Today? Yeah. And on Fox 19. Well, maybe Kathy's been on Fox. Does she go by Kathy or Catherine? Because they were both being thrown around, so I was a little confused. For people that are confused already, because I know I am, Catherine Lentz, a.k.a. Kathy, she is from the Cincinnati Parks Foundation, was a guest on the show to convince him he needs to drink some of his cellared Demogorgon beer instead of the other choices that he had for the night.
Is it considered cellared if it's just hanging out in a fridge because you didn't get to it? Like, where does that line hit?
That's a good...
No, what are you
that's a
talking
very
about?
good question.
Like, it's from last year, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't in my beer cellar. It wasn't cellared.
No,
it was
it's
just in my
cellared.
fridge.
I think
I think
anything
that's-
that
Where's
you're
that line?
holding
If it's been in
onto-
her fridge for a year,
Is that the line? 1 year?
yes.
Okay, so if you have a random
Yes.
Miller High Life that's hanging out in the back of your
Yes.
fridge for a year, it's been cellared.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's dated.
Yeah, absolutely.
For locally, if you've had it in the back of your fridge until the next release, like for a Demogorgon, if you've had it until the next round of Demogorgon comes back, it's been cellared.
It's been
Oh, yeah,
cellared.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just been forgotten about.
Yes.
It's been
Sure, it's been buried back there. Yeah.
accidental for cellaring.
Cellaring.
It's still
Yeah.
cellaring.
Yeah.
Agreed. Just like
I disagree.
accidentally getting someone pregnant is still getting them pregnant.
But even that's different. That's getting somebody knocked up. That's not we're having a baby together.
They're still
But sometimes,
pregnant.
Yeah, but they're
it's-
still very different things.
Yeah, but just
Accidental
because it's not,
cellaring is not the same as intentional cellaring. They need their own
but
names.
But to tie it back, it's still just a happy surprise, right?
Exactly.
It's always still good.
Exactly.
Unless it's an IPA that you accidentally cellared. Then,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, but then it's
And
just
there's a
an
couple
experiment.
ex-girlfriends I could think of that it would have been terrible.
Wow. Oh, God.
Heard.
Wow.
Oh man.
Great to have you, Lee. Great to have you, Gnome.
Bad news, I got you knocked up, but this Demogorgon's good.
Yeah. Hell yeah. For some more accidental knocked up news, go to Your Stupid Opinions.
Oh
this
my
week.
God.
Jesus.
That is an absolute perfect tie-in. Little beanies.
Mm-hmm.
Little beanies for your penis. We are hitting big beer season. Someone almost lost their beer on that one. We're hitting big beer season.
That's right.
All the barrel-aged stuff, Demogorgon, Family Tradition, Dark Charge. I'm here for it. It's like in the 70s right now, so I'm ready, but I'm not ready just yet. It definitely has to be a little cooler for me to
Yeah. I
get full
almost
enjoyment
wore
out of
shorts
those
today.
beers. Yeah.
Yeah?
It was
Yeah.
a toss-up.
Let's see. Kathy was on the show. I'm just going to say Kathy because she kind of said, some people call me Kathy, so I'm going to pretend we're friends. And
We're friends.
That's what we're going to
We're
do.
friends.
Huge fan of the show, I'm
Come
sure.
on the pod.
Absolutely. She was talking about an upcoming event, Cheers to Cincinnati Parks, happening at the Moorline Lager House this coming Thursday, November 15th. We've mentioned it on Cincy Beer Events. The ticket price includes a limited edition Stein featuring artwork and a chance at a raffle for an oil painting, a limited edition oil painting, the only, not even copy, the oil painting of Smale Park. It comes with a membership to the Moorline Lager House Stein Club. I didn't have any of this written down. I'm just trying to pull this out of my head. The link, go ahead, Gnome.
I'm going to assume we can probably get your Stein signed at the event, too, by Jim
Oh.
Uffler, I bet.
Oh, my
I'm sure he'll be
Probably,
there.
yeah.
Will he sign anything else?
You saw that tattoo on my butt cheek, right?
Yes.
Yep, he
Yeah.
signed that first, and then I went and got it tattooed. So, yeah.
So yeah,
Sure.
he
Nice.
will sign anything. The link for the tickets for this event, because it sounds absolutely fantastic. The link's a little odd, so look at Cincinnati Parks, the Cincinnati Parks Foundation Facebook page, or it is moorlinelagerhouse.info/product singular /Cincy-Parks. Gnome, I know you said you were going to be putting a link
At some
up.
point, there'll be a link that is the Gnarly Gnome. What did I say? The gnarlygnome.com Cheers to Cincinnati Parks.
Yes.
Which when you started saying that, I thought you were going to say like the gnarlygnome.com/Cincy Parks.
That would have been way easier. You should have chimed
Exactly.
in.
I
Nope.
well, by
Since
the-
I said
by
it
the
then,
time
now
you
it has
said
to be
exactly.
that. In fact, as we talk, I'm going to set it up.
Yeah, so the link is thegnarlygnome.com/cheers to Cincinnati Parks at the Moorline Lager House on November 15th, 2023. Buy your tickets, please. Thank you, and get your ass signed by Jim Effler. That is the entire URL.
Or Titty.
Good luck. Or Titty, whatever
Yes, Titty.
whatever you
Fine.
want. North High no longer exists, and I forgot to take it off of
In
our
Cincy.
events. In Cincinnati. They still have...
Oh, darn.
I know, Leah's incredibly
crap.
upset.
Shit.
Oh, hold on. We know this one. Fantastic. I mean, Marka, didn't you say that you had been there recently?
I was.
And are you upset that they're no longer there?
No.
Okay.
No. It was like a...
I never made it, but it was never any... I've had some
It was like
North
a...
High beer
It
before,
was like a
but...
fart in the wind. It was like...
there and then gone.
Yeah, it was whatever.
Okay.
It was fine. Actually, the space is kind of cool. The space is kind of cool.
It was just so damn loud when I was in there. The one time I was in there, it was just so damn loud.
The Kenwood location?
Yeah. It was, just,
Was that the homeless guy just screaming, or what's going on?
No, they just had like the music was just amped up to 11 for no reason at all in there.
So producer Nick must have been
Well,
working
nobody
that
else
night.
was in there, so might as well fucking crank it up to
I guess.
11.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not wrong. Not wrong.
I wasn't trying to party that hard that night. I guess
That night, yeah. Urban Artifacts, new equipment, and how that's changing the meaning of craft beer.
At first, I thought they were turning a part of the space into a laundromat.
It did kind of look like it,
But
yeah.
then it's like it's a pasteurization system.
And
It's
I'm
like,
like-
holy shit! Well, how many quarters does that fucking take?
a lot. It's gonna
lot.
take a lot of quarters.
Jesus
a lot
God!
of quarters. But what was interesting about the conversation during the Weekly Pint is, the whole, they're using fruit. It's made with mostly fruit. So isn't that wine and not beer? Which, Colin from Westside chimed in and he was like, that's wine. That's not a beer. But for a while now, Urban has not been saying that they make beer. They make fruit tarts. So I guess that's kind of their...
Yeah, but I
I don't want to call it a loophole by, but
I bet they get malt. I bet there's malt there somewhere.
maybe.
That's what's so interesting about these couple beers that I was specifically talking about, the House Lager and the House IPA. There is no malt.
Oh, okay.
It's the one was banana, the other one I don't know what the fruit was that they used, but it was just 100% fruit.
That's
That's
fantastic.
it. It was really really weird stuff.
You just need the malt. All you need malt for is sugar, right? You need it for other things.
Yeah, but the thing is,
But
if
the
you're going to
main-
ferment...
For a tax break is what you need it for.
I heard, yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
That's really the difference, is if you're going to be taxed as a wine or taxed as
Right.
beer.
Yeah.
I'm making
That's true.
out of whatever the fuck you want. But,
Right.
I mean, Uncle Sam's going to get theirs, which is
Is there a big difference
extrapolated,
between the tax
which is
rate
extrapolated
between-
cost to
There
the
is
actual
a
product.
big difference, but what is that difference? Does it matter if it's packaged or if it's in house like that? Does it? I don't know.
Well, that could be different.
Somehow they're figuring out a way to sell them for $5 a pint, and I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get down there and try it because it sounds super interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And that's the
Agreed.
main thing. Maybe that's the piece of it too, is that it is interesting and new and different. And
All
Well,
right.
that's everything
Yeah.
about Urban Artifact. It's
Well, pick
all
me up. Let's go.
interesting and different, and it's
I'm in.
something.
get in the truck. Come on.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
come
go.
on. Sure.
Lula gets shotgun though. You have to sit in the back seat.
That's fine.
That's
Lula's bigger than I am.
This,
fair.
yes, this is
Yeah.
very true.
Oh, she doesn't get shotgun. You got it.
Nice. Marco, you should be the producer because you remember all the guests that have been on the show and what volume they have and have not been on. Like you hit instantly with,
Yeah.
I think Brett's the only one that's been on every single volume, and you're like, nope,
No, sir.
got another name for you.
No, sir. Incorrect.
That was fantastic. So I think that you should just show up to Gnome's house every Monday night with your either truth or psychopathy, bring some to-go food, and start producing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I could do
I'm
that.
in for it.
I mean, that's a possibility.
The topic of the show: Gnome is the most famous person in Cincinnati craft beer.
Yeah.
Maybe the world.
Maybe the world.
The entire world.
In a world where the gnome is the most famous craft beer person, only one can. I don't know. I got nothing. Only one can what?
Get a signed bottle of Utopias directly from Jim Cook.
Yeah, and he signed his other butt cheek.
They signed the other, but yeah. Anyone else asked Jim to do that? He's just like, no.
But no, the Gnarly Gnome, yeah.
I think it's fantastic. On Fox 19 to promote Beer, Booze, and Bonks, which buy your tickets. It's as this episode comes out, it is tomorrow. It is going to be a ton of fun.
And, the speaking from the Gnarly Gnome, who's sitting right next to me, he can speak for himself.
But we're not going to let him.
Speaking from a perspective where he sat and conversed with Jim Cook, or sharing Utopias. He has interviewed Jim Cook while having Utopias. He has, contemplated many craft beer things while talking to Jim Cook over Utopias. Probably talked about how to build a business with Jim Cook, over Utopias. And then, just basically, reminiscing about time in Cincinnati with Jim, over Utopias.
Over Utopias, yeah.
I mean,
every ounce of success in my life, I can
attest to
I can
Utopias.
attest to Utopias. Yeah. Yep.
Well, you can probably count the ounces because, you probably are getting it in 1 ounce sips, Utopias.
Oh no! When you get your bottle, you can take as much as you want. You can go pint if you want.
Is Jim a heavy pourer?
He is not. I don't think Jim pours.
No, he has a pour.
He just kind of waves his hand and someone brings it to him.
Yeah, so he's yeah.
As one does.
Well,
Yeah.
when you're Jim,
When you're-
being a billionaire will do that.
Yes. Yes.
I wouldn't pour my own drinks or anything like that.
you're like,
Yeah.
If he's a billionaire, does he invest in counterfeit wine? The Beer, Booze, and Bonks, Binks, Boinks, Biscuits, and Boobs list of beers and booze
It's a great
was
is out.
revealed.
great looking list.
Yes. Except for the few places where you don't know yet. So everyone
That's
will be
fine.
surprised by a
It's
few
only
things
in
on
a few
Saturday.
days.
Yeah, as long as they show up with something, that's the most important thing, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh man, always a fun episode. There was it kind of ended with a little bit of discussion on what Beer, Booze, and Bonks is all about and is supposed to be about, and what happens and what kind of decisions have to be made when an invited brewery or liquor maker, I don't know, because there's beer, there's booze, there's all this.
when
When
I
someone
find
that's invited doesn't want to abide by the standards that were set.
What I
For the
find is interesting is that Gnome for a few years and the Fulling Warehouse and people involved with this has been trying to create this festival or this beer fest, this thing that is not just beer but a celebration of really fantastic craft beer, an activity that is fun and trying to grow its birth, and what you're doing is you're building something to try and create something that is changing where people want to go, in the sense of, so you have Winter Beer Fest, which is just a giant lemonade stand with bands and food trucks and all this other stuff, but it's not the same experience because all you're getting is core product from national brands, and you get local brands out there and they bring their core product too, and
It's the same beers, the same beverages that you
Yeah,
see
and
every single day. There's nothing special about it.
So this is somewhere where it's you have an activity and you have hand-picked experiences, and then you have two different bars where you can get other things at these bars, and it's a different experience a few months before Cincy Winter Beer Fest, but it's curated. There's thought that it's not that Cincy Winter Beer Fest doesn't have thought.
It's just different.
It's just it's a wide. It's just a different sort of curated content experience, which is trying to grow. And I could see this certainly.
Just wait to see next year.
I could see this certainly having a sort of a 2 time a year thing, especially since. Am I wrong in saying that the person that owns the Fulling Warehouse also owns the Pickle
Lodge? Yeah.
The Pickle Lodge.
Nice.
So there's room for even 2 experiences
100%.
at 2 different times of the year for fantastic curated events with different activities.
Let me word it this way. If you get an invite, number one, if you get an invite to this festival, you should be very happy that you got an invite, because we've got 70-something breweries in town now, and not everybody can be there. But number two, if you get an invite and your response is, oh, great, here's what we're sending, that invite is going to go away next year. It's not going to happen. That's not the proper response. That's not what this festival is about. Understand what the festival is about, and we'll start working from there, because it's got to be, number one, it has to be something that is picked by me. Number one, that's before anything else.
It's a curated beer festival.
And some of those will be core beers, and I'm not afraid of core beers. Freaking Little Kings is going to be there. Like, it's, that's part of it, but that's a decision that I'm making with these places.
What do you bet if I take a little?
I'm not drinking that one.
It's going to be skunked, isn't it?
Yeah, but the ones that are in my fridge at home right now are amazing.
Okay.
Not skunked at all. They're delicious.
Nice. Those are all the notes that I had on.
Oh no, it's for the dog. I was thinking you were sitting here eating dog treats.
I'm sure they're still delicious.
They should be.
Most of those are
pay for
like
them.
human safe. Yeah.
I've definitely eaten the Brew House dog bones, and they're fine.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're kind of
peanut butter
peanutty.
and spent grain. Yeah. All right.
I get those
Marco,
emails.
Are you ready for my multiple choice question?
Of course, I'm
on
ready
this
for
episode of the Weekly
Julia's
Pint?
multiples.
What is Gnome the nation's leading expert on?
All right.
Is it A, chaos? Is it B, naming bars? Or is it C, utopias?
Julia, is it D? I always bring the D, Julia. You know that. Julia, is it making sure to check condom packages for sizes?
Put the sizes on the boxes.
All right.
Yes. Listen to your stupid opinions, because Marco and I can't stop quoting it.
Sorry.
It's amazing. See, they're applauding us. They're applauding
Thank you, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, does anyone, Lee, do you have anything to plug? Gnome, do you have anything to plug? Anyone want to say anything else before we wrap up this episode? And I say we do a Dora walk, because I think the weather is still pretty decent out there.
We got to wrap up and get our beers and get out there
All right.
pretty quick.
Is that another condom reference? Because it's
Absolutely.
all confusing.
It's
Yeah,
it's
gotta
always
wrap it up.
about it's always
I'm
the
always
dose.
wrapped up.
Oh, good God!
Ooh.
Your 2 kids say otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been meaning to ask my wife about that.
If oh my God.
Just leave it. Just leave it, Julia.
We're
Just
leaving
leave
it. Nope. If you like
Just
what we
leave it.
did tonight, good Lord, why? But thank you for sharing your time with us. If you have anything you'd like to say to us, follow us just everywhere. We are at Truth Beer Pod on all the social media podcasts. truthbeerpod@gmail.com is our email address if you want to send us something. Truthbeerpod.com. We have links to everything, including links to how to become a Patreon subscriber, which means you get the entire almost 2 hours of this episode
Correct.
with these silences from getting
We get you
additional
the good
beers.
shit. The
cut
straight
out.
mainline shit. Like the
It's
uncut
amazing.
shit.
Oh no!
It's
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh yes.
Uncut
Oh
shit.
no!
I'll send you a link. Lee.
Oh no!
It'll be it's fantastic.
Good.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Listen to our other podcast, Cincy Beer Events, where we let you know all about the beer events coming to Cincinnati. With that being said, Marco, Gnome, Lee, what are you guys going to be doing next Tuesday?
I think next Tuesday I'm going to be here with all my friends doing this. So cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Shit.